Welcome into the channel. I'm Cody Stoots. Let's talk some Texans, shall we? Plenty to get to with this Houston Texans team that is now 2-2 on the season after they take care of business against the Pittsburgh Steelers to win their second game in a row to end that home losing streak and to set themselves up to start a winning streak on Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons. Is CJ Stroud going to take this team to the playoffs? Are the Texans going to crash the playoff party because of CJ Stroud? We'll dive into that. Plus, this offense might just be getting started. We'll explain what we mean with that as well. Your comments are encouraged. Super chats go to the front of the line, and we have the link at the top of the comment section if you want to get in live with an audio or video comment as well. Would appreciate a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and check out Houston Football, where I do all my writing about the Houston Texans. And if you're backstage waiting to get in, hang in there. We'll get to you. All right, let's talk about this playoff potential for this Houston Texans team. Let's talk about the playoff crashers that are the Houston Texans. Their playoff odds have dramatically changed in just 1 week. A week ago, the Texans were not even really in the conversation. I think there was only one or two teams in the AFC that even had worse playoff odds than they did. And now they are firmly ahead of quite a few teams. They've even got, actually, it's very strange how it works. They've got a worse chance to win the division than the Indianapolis Colts, but they've got a better chance to make the playoffs than the Indianapolis Colts when you look at some of the wagering and some of the conversations around the odds and the implied odds for the Texans and the implied chances for the Texans to make the playoffs. And the main route to the playoffs is the AFC South, which is all square at 2-2. 1-1 in the division so far are the Texans. And part of the excitement and why we're even having this question after 4 weeks, what else? It's CJ Stroud and the incredible and impressive performance that he has put together. He's the main reason, he's the main element that I believe is driving any sort of conversation, dream, thought, excitement around the playoff picture for the Texans. And look, we're not even actually a quarter of the season into it, okay? At the end of the first quarter in Atlanta, that'll be a quarter of the season in the books. We're almost there, so we're a little ahead of ourselves, but it's worth paying attention to where the Texans are because they've basically been eliminated from the conversation from first kickoff the past couple of years. And to be right here in the middle of the jumbled up AFC South at 2-2 with everybody else, to already have a 1-1 record and to look like you might have on any given Sunday the best quarterback in the AFC South. And when you look at the rest of their schedule, you start thinking about, hey, how many games could the Texans walk into this game and have the better quarterback and maybe even the better head coach? Like, that's the biggest driving force behind the conversation about the playoffs outside of CJ Stroud is he's really good. He's clearly really good. How many times are the Texans walking onto the field on a Sunday and they got the better quarterback? They got the better offense. They maybe even have the better head coach. Let's look at this schedule. This schedule that looked so daunting previously doesn't look as daunting anymore. You're already 2-2, and you go to Atlanta this weekend, and it's the start of 4 straight games against the NFC South. And look, 4 weeks in the NFL is basically a mini season. Well, you've accomplished a lot in a mini season with this team going 2-2 already. So you look at this next mini season, weeks 5 through 9, Derek Carr is not going to be healthy by next week when you play the New Orleans Saints. Okay? And then the Texans have this bye week, so even if people don't come back for Atlanta or New Orleans, you got 3 weeks to get people healthy, and then you got to go on the road against Carolina, which looks like one of the worst teams in football. All of a sudden, you're looking at, okay, you take care of business against Atlanta, you come back home against an injured Derek Carr or Jameis Winston, you feel pretty good about your chance against the New Orleans Saints. Okay, so let's just play the what-if game. What if there's 2 more wins there? Boom, boom. Well, now you're 4-2. You're 4-2 headed in the bye week. Come out of the bye week against a bad Carolina Panthers team. Well, why couldn't you be 5-2? And then Tampa Bay, a month from now, is Tampa Bay going to be any good? A month from now, is Baker Mayfield still going to be able to get it done? We'll see how he does with Mike Evans down with the injury a little bit. I would think Mike Evans is probably back by here. Tampa Bay's a little bit tougher game, but you flip that because some of these other games don't seem as tough. Cincinnati, that doesn't seem like as tough a contest as it used to be. Joe Burrow's calf ain't getting better by the time the Cincinnati Bengals show up on the schedule. Arizona looks like a little bit of a tougher team, but when does Joshua Dobbs turn back into a quarterback pumpkin? You already beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. You know what you could bring to the table with them. The Denver Broncos are atrocious. I know they just beat the Bears, but they're very bad. The Jets are horrible. They're going to be even worse by the time you get to them. And then by middle of December, Tennessee for 2 games could be on one of those backup quarterbacks. They could be on Malik Willis or Will Levis. Well, you got a big advantage there. Deshaun's playing like crap. Andy's hurt. And then the Indianapolis Colts in Indianapolis in January. This is not a daunting schedule. This is not a schedule where you're like, well, shoot, I don't know what's going to happen. Where the Texans have an advantage? Okay, QB. If Burrow's hurt, QB. We'll call it a push. QB. We'll call it a push because Richardson was really good when the Texans played him. Look at all those games where you have the quarterback advantage. You should win a fair amount of those games when you have the quarterback advantage. And C.J. Stroud gives you that advantage. This guy is on pace to shatter the rookie passing record. He's going to be in the conversation for one of the best rookie seasons if he keeps this up. And even if he has a stinker here or there, and it's coming, he's going to have a game where he doesn't play well. Well, that's when it's going to be on Bobby Slowik and the rest of this offense to pick him up. That's what's going to be on the defense to pick him up. Heck, if CJ played a crappy game on Sunday against the Pittsburgh Steelers, they'd have still bashed the Steelers' heads in. Like maybe the Steelers keep it a little bit closer. Maybe they're able to turn, one of those 3s into a 7, and it's a little bit closer. But even if that's the conversation coming out of this game, like, yeah, CJ didn't quite have a great game. The defense took care of business. And so you start thinking about, okay, not only do you have a quarterback advantage, like your rookie quarterback has an advantage on a Sunday. That means the other team's quarterback's probably not playing well or isn't very good, and this defense could feast on them. This defense isn't even whole and healthy yet. Like imagine what could happen if this defense gets whole and healthy. They haven't lost since Jimmy Ward's got back. Now Jalen Petre's back with Jimmy Ward, which improves your depth because now you move Eric Murray and MJ Stewart back at depth at safety. Derek Stingley's going to come back at some point. That improves your depth, though Shaq Griffin has played well without Derek Stingley. Steven Nelson's playing the best football of his life right now. And that front 7, it's getting a little healthy. Denzel Perryman will be back at some point. But Will Anderson's got the 3rd best pass rush win rate in all of football. Jonathan Grenard's a top 20 guy in that category. Malik Collins is a top 10 guy at the interior defensive line spot at pass rush win rate. Oh, by the way, you haven't even figured out if this offensive line is going to improve. Like they played really well the past 2 weeks. The offensive line gets better, and it's okay to start thinking about this. Now, adjusting expectations also comes with the danger that you adjust expectations in the negative manner. Like if you thought 4 or 5 wins, they're clearly going to blow past that. If CJ Stroud continues to play this well, stays healthy. So if you start adjusting your mindset, you start adjusting your expectations, you have to allow the play. If they have an upsetting Sunday, they have a day where, hey, DeMeco Ryans looks like a rookie head coach, makes some poor decisions, or he gets worked by an opposing offensive coordinator. Like those days are going to pop up. But you looked at that schedule, we just went over it. You're going to walk in with a QB advantage in a lot of those games. Hell, you're going to walk into a lot of those games with a head coach advantage. Not to mention the defense is just getting started. It's just starting to showcase what it's capable of. Let yourself dream. Let yourself dream. Dream no little dreams and adjust expectations accordingly. Now, I don't want to sit here and start week to week adjusting expectations, but adjust expectations accordingly. They just finished a mini season of 4 weeks. It looks really good compared to even lofty expectations. And now you start looking at this next mini season against the entire NFC South. And if you go 3-1 coming out of that, hell, if you go 2-2 again, okay, now I wouldn't be super happy with that, but if you go 2-2 again and you're sitting at 4-4 with that backstretch of your schedule, with the second half plus one of your schedule left, that's a pretty damn good spot to be in if you're this Texans team, considering they won 3 football games a year ago. Okay? They won 3 games a year ago. They are 1 win away from matching last year's win total. Just like Nico Collins, I think 53 yards away from matching his career high in receiving yards. Like, it's way better than it's supposed to be this early in the season. So now you start thinking, if it's already here, if it's already at this point, how much further can it get? Especially as you start to get guys healthy, you get more input to adjust and coach through. Man, I am excited as I've ever been in the middle of a season for this Texans team. I think you look back to 2017 when you were like, my God, Deshaun Watson's balling out, but the defense couldn't stop anybody. Well, CJ Stroud's balling, and the defense is stopping people. So dream no little dreams when you start thinking about where this Texans team can go. I appreciate everybody's comments. If you want to get in the backstage, you want to get in from an audio or visual standpoint, the link is in the comment section. You want to get in like Drew, you certainly can. Drew, what do you got for us today, man?
Nothing much. What about you?
Doing great. What's your comment?
The Texans, I think, will make the playoffs. I could see them going 12-5 with this roster and how easy the schedule's being.
Dang, 12-5.
There could be some upsets though.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to be 12-5, but on paper right now, with all the stats, I could see 12-5.
Man, 12-5 would be one heck of a turnaround. That'd be one heck of a turnaround. Heck, think about this. Even if you take a couple of those, like the AFC South is not some amazing division. Like, you're in the playoffs, you win the AFC South. It only takes 9 wins to win the AFC South, right? Look, we just went through the schedule. We were looking at it. You were looking at it. Like, I can find 7 wins in the rest of this schedule. Like, it's not hard to sit here and feel confident about 7 wins in what we just went through. Like, it's really not. And so if you get to 9 wins, you should be in the conversation for the AFC South crown. And if you win the AFC South, at worst, you're the 4th seed.
Yeah, one thing that I've noticed a lot recently is the media, like the national media is they're finally showing some respect on the Texans after they've been winning. They beat the Steelers and they beat the Jaguars last week, and they were just expecting like that's just a one-time thing, like it's an upset, like who cares? But now they beat the Steelers, and now they're starting to notice a little bit, and yeah, I'm a little excited for that.
Yeah, you start taking down some of those heritage franchises, some of those nationally relevant franchises, and people start taking notice. And I think really another part of that driving force is CJ Stroud's so damn good. Like, this league loves young quarterbacks succeeding. You think about the buzz from Herbert a couple of years ago when he was playing well. When young guys take care of business, you get a little bit of extra coverage. You get a couple extra eyeballs on your game, and if Stroud's going to keep this up, I mean, they're going to definitely be in the conversation.
Yeah, CJ Stroud, he might be one of the better quarterbacks the Texans have ever had. If he keeps up what he's going now, he might be the best.
I mean, look, it's 4 games in, so you don't want to get ahead of yourself, but It stays on this track. It looks pretty good. And, I mean, you got Robert Griffin sitting there on ESPN the past 2 days saying, yeah, guys, we're not overreacting. Stroud's already one of the 10 best QBs playing in football right now. Like, there's not anybody, there's only a handful of guys playing better than him. And I'm like, I don't love RG3 from an analyst standpoint, but, let's go through some of the guys who are kind of disappointing right now. And as far as how they are playing, maybe not who I'd take instead of, but how are they playing? Stroud's one of those dudes, man. What else you got for us, Drew? Anything else?
Well, Nico Collins and Jonathan Gannon are pretty exciting. I'm just hoping they don't get injured, because if they do, like they've been in the past, that could mess up the Texans season.
Yeah, durability on those 2 guys is huge, especially for a guy like Renard, who had high expectations last year, got hurt. Nico Collins has never had a healthy NFL season. But those guys are staying healthy. Look, it's hard to expect 17 out of everybody, but if you can get I'll sign up for 15, 16 games of those guys, especially if guys start to fill in their roles a little bit more, like you start getting a little bit more out of Mechie, you start getting a little bit more out of, when Noah Brown gets back or Xavier Hutchinson from that standpoint, or you start getting more out of the tight ends, maybe you can survive a Sunday if Nico's got a hammy or a sore this, or he's got a miss for whatever reason. You don't want him to, but that's another guy. I mean, look, part of Nico Collins' success is the potential's been unlocked because he's got a quarterback that can get him the rock, and it's not throwing it 10 feet over his head like Davis Mills did last year.
Yep, that's all I got. Thank
Drew,
you.
appreciate you jumping in, man. We'll get to the comments in the feed here in just a moment. Somebody else wants to jump in on the video standpoint. Zadis Q, what do you got for us, man?
Thanks for having me again. I apologize if my lighting's a little worse than usual. What a difference 2 weeks makes.
Right?
This is what I'll start with. 2 weeks ago, when we were getting shellacked by Indy, I'm not going to lie, I was like, I had almost had it. That was one of the games I was thinking to myself, we might go in, we might win this one. And then D'Amico got out coached, plain and simple. But these last 2 weeks have just been like so weird to have hope again.
Well, speaking of coaching, he outcoached 2 Super Bowl winners.
Yeah.
D'Amico Ryans was the better coach for 2 straight Sundays on guys that won the damn Super Bowl before.
That's just a wild thought. It's just nice to be positive, I guess. I've kind of come in the 2 times I've come in before, I've asked about like a certain position group or a certain player. So I guess this week my thoughts are with Henry 2020. Denzel Perryman last 2 weeks hasn't been in. So 2020 as a 5th round pick, he's stepped up. D'Amico's called him the middle linebacker in these situations. He's praised him for doing a really good job trying to communicate everything with the defense. Sure. And I guess my thoughts are that's a super exciting guy to maybe be watching, because you look at his time in San Francisco, D'Amico's, that is, Fred Warner, 3rd round pick, Dre Greenlaw, 5th round pick. Not necessarily these guys that were looked at as studs coming out of the draft. And now, I don't know. I feel like 2020, speaking of, we are 2-0 these last 2 weeks. I feel like 2020 might be the next in that line of LBs, I guess, built by D'Amico.
Sure.
It's nice to have that.
Toto is an interesting guy because the athletic profile is not that of somebody who's going to be an incredible linebacker, but the between the ears is something that you hear about time and time again. And him being able to step in and play like he has the past couple weeks. He didn't look great in Jacksonville, looked a little bit better overall against the Steelers. Still some mistakes that he's making that I don't know that Denzel Perryman would be making. And so I'm interested to see when Perryman gets healthy. He's dealing with a wrist/hand injury. So once he gets healthy, exactly how they use Toto. Are they putting him in there with Denzel Perryman? Are they going to put Perryman and Christian Harris out there? Cashman's looked good when he's played. So just to create that depth, and look, Perryman, if he's not here for the long term, okay, hand it to Toto. Or if Perryman can't get back, well, then you have Henry Toto.
Yeah, it's funny that you would hype up his, I guess, mental profile a lot, because all the pieces of like D'Amico's coaching profile, right? Like, oh, this guy is the QB of the defense. He communicates excellently with all these other guys. Maybe a little bit more athletic than Henry was, but it's so interesting to see all those similarities come together. If I'm the Texans PR department, I might be having D'Amico and Henry running drills together, Karate Kid.
That'd be a great video.
Yeah.
That'd be a great video.
After this week. Thank you very much. Hopefully I'll see you next week when we got a winning record.
There you go, man. Zadis Q, appreciate you jumping in. You guys want to get in at the top of the comment section is where you can dump in from a video standpoint like Drew and Zadis, or just talk. It's the audio standpoint. You can get in there. All right, we got some comments to catch up on. Let's fire through them. DL, appreciate you jumping in. STX Texan, Kyle, thank you. Da Bully is here. Haven't seen you before. If I have, I forgot. Good to see you. Greetings from Monterrey, Mexico. Appreciate you tuning in from our friends in the South. DGMT6. Daniel in the Rio Grande Valley. Appreciate you. Harris with a quick question on Titus, Tunsil, Jones, and Juice. Don't know about Josh Jones. Titus should be back this week. Tunsil up in the air. And Juice, KPRC says he's not coming back this week, but he could be back soon. So I guess we got to wait a little bit more for the Juice. Jonathan, appreciate you jumping in. Sean, Cody, I'm just good. Okay, you're missing a 0 here. You're missing an O. I'm just good. Sean, with our Hawkeye nickname for CJ Stroud. Yes. Chung Fung, CJ for MVP. I don't know about MVP, but Roy, it was 10-1 before the season. We talked about it here on the channel. Roy, we talked about it. CJ Stroud certainly in the conversation. He is the betting favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year right now. So it is exciting times at the quarterback spot. Venom 10. Falcons and Texans going to be a tough one for Stroud, but I believe he will figure it out. Well, we'll find out on Sunday. We'll preview the Falcons a little bit later on in the week. We got somebody else who wants to jump in. The blue one wants to pop in on the video. What do you got for us, Blue?
Yo, hey, Cody.
What's up, man?
What's up, man? Man, I'm glad you can have me on, man. I'm at work right now trying to sneak this in.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, man. I love what y'all do, man. And I'm going to tell you why, man, because it's been frustrating being a Texans fan. And I feel like this is a place where I can vent, you know? Where I
Yeah.
can, you know what I mean? And honestly, man, I like what I'm seeing so far. But I will say this. I'm not letting Casario off the hook just yet. I'm going to tell you why. It's still early, right? It's still early. And I want to see what he does for the trade deadline. So I feel like there's still some moves that can be made. You know, some of the guys around the league probably watching CJ and probably like, I like to be a part of that, you know? And I feel like the possibilities are endless. And we only getting started. We're only getting started, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, Casario, it's going to be one of those situations. I was talking about with somebody the other day. It feels like if that draft pick that they sent to the Cardinals ends up way higher than the draft pick that they have from the Browns, that's going to be something that's going to be tough to overcome. But, like, look, This team makes the playoffs. You're not changing the general manager if they make the playoffs. This team's in the hunt towards the back end of the year. You're not making that change. And look, there's a lot of good stuff going on here that Casario's been a part of. I know it's taken a while, but Nico Collins obviously looks good. Casario traded up for him. Sheldon Rankins and Malik Collins at defensive tackle. Obviously, the big swing on Will Anderson looks like it's a good one. You know, Steven Nelson making him happy when he was unhappy. Now he's balling. That's fantastic, too. So.
I'm telling you, because honestly, before the season started, I was ready to cut Nico. I was ready to cut Steven Nelson. I was ready to cut a lot of these guys, you know? And I got to say, it's really refreshing to finally have a quarterback, you know? It ain't refreshing, you know?
Oh, it's great.
Because it's like now, you know, we're in playoff talks now. And I mean, I know it's still early. But when you got a quarterback, you got a chance, you know?
Yep. We went through it on the schedule there. They're going to walk in with a quarterback that's at least equal to a lot of guys and is better than a lot of guys. And that gives you a chance every Sunday. You walk in with a better quarterback than the other team. It gives you a damn chance.
A better chance. Like, honestly, this past Sunday, and I was telling guys, I said, okay, Pittsburgh probably has the better overall team, but we got the better quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And that definitely played out on Sunday. And I like what RG3 said because I'm inclined to believe it. It's probably hard to name a ton of quarterbacks that look better than CJ right now. And I know it's still early. But I'm telling you right now, I know Carolina regretting what they did. I know Carolina regret. Hey, 0-4.
Yep.
0-4. Bryce Young hasn't won a game yet.
Yep.
Yet.
Yep.
And it was obvious to me. Maybe not, most and I'm not gonna say Bryce wasn't good coming out of college, but CJ just looked like he was the most pro ready. Like just all around. He looked like he was the most pro ready. And I think that's definitely playing out, you know.
Yep.
Definitely.
Blue, man, I appreciate you jumping in. I appreciate you watching. Appreciate the support, man. Don't work too hard.
Absolutely, man. Tell Landry I said what's up.
I will. I will. The blue one weighing in on the stream tonight. Yeah, man. Look, the QB. The QB changes everything. Like, if Davis Mills is the quarterback, you're not where you are. Like, if it's some of these other QBs across the league, if it's some of the other guys that the Texans could have gone out there and got, Jimmy Garoppolo was linked to this team, trade for this QB, Trey Lance. They're 2-2 and on the upswing because they've figured out the QB spot. And they got a little lucky. It's great to finally have luck go the Texans' way. Think about all the times the Texans have gotten unlucky. Like, I don't know, ending up with the number 1 overall pick when David Carr is the best quarterback. Getting the number 1 overall pick for first pick in franchise history with David Carr is the best QB in the draft. Or ending up with the number 1 pick and, Mario Williams was a nice player. I know some people, I was kind of in favor of Vince Young, but you didn't take the quarterback. Okay, you end up with the number 1 pick. Blake Bortles is the top quarterback that year. Johnny Manziel's the top quarterback. You end up with a top 3 pick, and there's no quarterback to take. The only quarterback in the first round is Kenny Pickett. Like, the luck finally turned for the Texans. They win a game. Most of us believe it was a bad idea to win that football game. They try to trade up to number 1, ultimately don't make that decision. Okay, and this is something that I'm guilty of this too. I crushed Nick Caserio for decisions he wanted to make and didn't make. Like the fact that he wanted Josh McCown, he wanted Jonathan Gannon at a couple of different times. Like, that's something that works against him a little bit. Well, I'm going to give him credit for a decision he didn't make. He wanted to trade up to number 1. He decided the cost was too much. They didn't trade up to number 1. Bryce Young goes number 1. They pick the next quarterback and get Will Anderson. Like, it looks like a good one. Like, he needs to get a little bit of credit for that. If I'm going to crush him for stuff that he didn't do, that he wanted to, I'm going to give him credit for stuff that he wasn't capable of doing, or didn't want to do. So, or didn't get done, and it worked out for the Texans. So it's great to have a little bit of luck go the Texans' way, finally. DeGrimlin with the super chat. Appreciate you, DeGrimlin. Thank you so much. Appreciate you hitting us with the super chat. If you've got a super chat, you go to the front of the line from the comment section. Any chance you'll do a live during a game, give us a place to watch, react, and hang out. All right, so lives during the games are tough. It won't ever be a home game because I'm at NRG Stadium, and it's just not feasible. During the game's tough. I take a lot of notes. I don't know if I'd be as interactive as I would want to be. Here's what I'll say. There's a chance maybe we could do like a quarter or a half, or maybe go live at halftime one of these days, but I don't know about a full game. I don't know if that's something that's feasible, doable, but I won't rule it out. Okay? I won't rule it out, and you're not the first person to ask about it. So, look, the people dictate what we do here. The people dictate what topics we talk about in the channel and the conversation. So, if there's enough people that really want it, I can put something like that together. Appreciate you for jumping in with the super chat to Gremlin. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to try to wade through some of these comments, and then I'll get to the next thing that I want to talk about here on the channel. Yeah, Jeffrey, I appreciate you. Yeah, fire up that like button if you want. And if you don't want, that's fine. Just don't hit the thumbs down button, you know? Look, health's going to be a conversation for this team. I would think the injury luck's about to turn. You could get Tunsil back this week. You could get Titus Howard back this week. You're going to get Cam Johnston back this week, which, my God, the fill-in punter was not very good at all. Scruggs is eventually going to come back. Hassan Ridgeway is eventually going to come back. Derek Stingley is eventually going to come back. Noah Brown's going to come back. I don't know how much Noah Brown's going to help you, because these other guys have kind of turned into nice players. But, the injury luck, I would think, is going to turn your way here pretty soon. I'd hope. So, a couple more comments, and we'll get to the next person that we have backstage. Matthew Hunt, this draft class of the conversation, one of the best in Texans history. I mean, let's finish the year, but you got the QB 1, you got pass rusher 1, you got wide receiver 2, essentially, with Tank Dell. Henry To'oTo'o is filled in at linebacker 1 and is a nice backup player. Let's see what Scruggs is. Horton's a rotational player on the defensive line. Like, the best draft class in the history of this team is 2006. Mario was really good. Owen Daniels was good. It had D'Amico in it. Eric Winston, Charles Spencer before he got hurt. So 2006 was the best draft class in team history, but this one's definitely in the conversation. Hell, you had 2 top 3 picks. It should be the best draft class in team history. All right, I see a T. Higgins question. We'll get to that in a minute. We'll get some more of these comments, but Choo Choo wants to weigh in.
Hey,
on the video.
Hey, Cody. Hey, Cody. I've been watching your videos and I've been keeping up with you. I just have 2 quick questions.
Sure.
I've been watching the national media starting to get on the Texans bandwagon. They starting to talk about us a little bit more, and I'm still concerned about the linebacking core. Like, what's gonna happen when Denzel Perryman get back healthy? Is he's gonna start, or are they gonna keep Henry in?
I would think Perryman probably slots back in as the starter at that position when he's healthy. And then To'oTo'o either plays with him or plays behind him when he needs a rest. Linebacker is a position where you do rotate a little bit. But I would think that Perryman's probably back starting once he's healthy.
Yeah, because I keep telling everybody like the linebacker, I'm like, look, Brian Cushing is not walking through that door anymore. So we haven't had a star middle linebacker since then. So I'm very concerned about that linebacker position.
They've got options, which is a good thing to have. Like, I mean, there are previous years where they didn't have any options at middle linebacker. Last year they ran Christian Harris out there as a rookie, and he was barely ready to play. And it looked bad at sometimes. They're running Christian Kirksey out there last year. Like, now they got Perryman, To'oTo'o's played well, Harris is coming along, Cashman's nice.
Yeah.
There's some options.
Yeah, because I've been a Texans fan to death, and I was telling my brother, I say, before the Deshaun Watson thing, we just been spoiled when Wade Phillips and Romeo Cornell's here. We was just spoiled with great defenses at those times, but at those times we didn't have a great quarterback.
Yep.
So I tell everybody, we just spoiled by JJ, Kush, JJo, and all those times. But thank you, Stoots. I just wanted to know, was Toto going to start or Perryman's going to start once he gets healthy?
Yeah, I think they'll both play a little bit. I think Perryman's the starter when he's healthy, though.
Okay, thank you.
Choo, appreciate you jumping in, man. Appreciate you jumping. Oops, sorry, I cut him off there. Quick super chat real quick. My guy AR Platinum. Good year to make a YouTube channel. Hey, AR Platinum, you're the best, man. Thank you. Guys, check out AR Platinum's channel. He is my ASMR. Watching him roll through all these lotto tickets. I think he just had a big hit the other day. He won close to a grand prize or a grand prize. I don't know. Check out AR Platinum's YouTube channel. He does a fantastic job, and he's helped me a little bit here with this old YouTube thing. So I appreciate him. We got somebody else who wants to jump in on the backstage. Oh, is this Dom from Jersey? What's up, man?
What's up, Cody? How are you, man?
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good. So, sorry, I'm working. I got a ton of questions for you. I'll rip through them.
Fire away.
Are you buying the Nico Collins wide receiver 1 hype? Because hear me out. Going into this season, I would have told you next year, looking ahead, top priority for this team is to look at the wide receiver group. There's a ton of good receivers coming out. I don't know if the Texans necessarily need to burn their first-round pick next year on a receiver. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but
I saw Pro Football Focus did a mock draft because it's always mock draft season apparently.
always.
Malik Neighbors was the guy, and I'm like, why? Why? You got Nico, he'll be on the last year of his contract. You got Mechie, you got Tank Dell, you got Xavier Hutchinson. You know, you could add another guy potentially in free agency. What? You know, it's easy to say wide receiver from when the season started. And Nico
Correct.
keeps this up. I mean, he makes that less of a priority, certainly.
And then a couple questions from the line. Gun to your head, if you had to say who's going out there Sunday I know you haven't been able to see practice yet. You'll be there tomorrow, I guess, right?
Yep.
Who would you say is going to be out there? Because I heard some interesting reports on Juice that he might not be ready till the Saints game.
I would say that it's going to be the Deculus Christian rotation at left tackle again.
You think no Tunsil?
I'm not buying the Tunsil's back until Tunsil's back. So I think Carolina's when he plays next.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I think this knee thing, as exciting as Sunday was, I'm sure, for him to watch, and he's tweeting about next week could be fun. Yeah, it could be real fun. Or you could be sitting at home while the team's in Atlanta. You know, I'm not buying that he's back. And even I would think he probably needs 2 full practice days before we can say confidently he's going to play. If he's limited at all this week, I'd have a little hesitation. So I'd say the little rotation at left tackle for right now.
Okay.
Left guard's probably Dieter. Kendrick Green's done for the year. You know, he's hurt.
I know.
I'm bummed about that, but Josh Jones is the one that's tough equation here. Because if Jones is good, then you stick him at left tackle. And then you figure out what you want to do at left guard. Maybe it's Dieter, but he got hurt late in the week last week, so is he going to be healthy? You got Broker, the kid that you picked up on waivers way back before the season started. And then Patterson, Mason, Fant. So.
You still don't think no Titus either?
Oh, Ty, what am I thinking about? Ty. Oh, here we go. I figured everything out. Fant plays left tackle. Titus plays right tackle.
So Titus, you think will be in?
If Titus is, I think Titus is going to be in. Hey, remember, he was supposed to be back. He wasn't even supposed to go on IR.
I know. I feel like they fumbled that. I'm seeing a lot of people saying, let's put him at left guard. Cody, we are not doing that again. My last couple things too. Can we talk about how good Steven Nelson has been? Because, and obviously Shaq Griffin stepped in, but Steven Nelson is literally playing like a CB1 right now. I mean, that guy is. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to ask you, who do you think's playing better than Steven Nelson on this team right now?
No one.
I think CJ's maybe the only guy that's playing better than Steven Nelson. But from a defense, on defense, who's playing better than Steven Nelson right now?
Probably saw on nobody. Twitter, he is the second best coverage cornerback in man-to-man situations in the NFL this year. It's incredible what he's doing.
He's a freak.
Fountain of youth for that guy. I'm a little nervous. Obviously, you know, I live in New Jersey. My group chat, all Jets Giants fans. But guess what? They're talking Texans, man, because I'm in there. And Cody, it's every day I turn on ESPN. It's Texans talk. It's CJ Stroud talk. While I love it, I don't know if it's going to be too big too soon for this team. I hope it's not, but I have my concerns. And then my last thought, I just want to talk about Bobby Slowik real quick, because that guy is unbelievable, okay? D'Amico's incredible, but Bobby Slowik is the reason why we're 2-2, in my opinion. It sounds crazy because I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we need to strike while it's hot here. We're only going to have Bobby Slowik, I'm going to tell you right now, for one more year. I think Bobby Slowik's going to be a head coach in 2 years, and it's going to be hard to replace a guy like that. So let me run, though, Cody. Just wanted to check in. I support you, bro. Doing a great job.
My man, thank you for jumping in. Dom is the best. And I'm thinking I might go see Dom in New Jersey, watch that Texans-Jets game live, trying to make that happen. That'll be a fun one. So the last thing that he said about Bobby Slowik, I think, is a really interesting conversation. Offensive coordinators that do well, they get poached. Ben Johnson is the example. Ben Johnson had a really good year calling plays for the Lions, and he was getting head coach interviews from teams, ultimately decided to stick around with the Lions for one more year. It's looking pretty good for him, and he's going to have sort of his pick of the litter this upcoming offseason for jumping around. I'd maybe fire Dan Campbell to keep Ben Johnson, but that's a conversation for another time. And so Slowik's that guy. What I'm impressed with Bobby Slowik is everybody, what you're capable of doing is what Bobby Slowik asks you to do. What you can do is what Bobby Slowik asks you to do and what he wants you to do. Like nobody's trying to fit. You're not trying to fit square pegs into round holes like when Bill O'Brien was calling this offense or Tim Kelly was calling this offense or Pep Hamilton was calling this offense. It's like if you can't do something, they don't ask you to do it. They just I mean, there's a couple of moments where you're like, I kind of wish that running back wasn't blocking TJ Watt, or I kind of wish, the tight end wasn't blocking this guy. But then Robert Woods roughing up Alex Highsmith on this game this past Sunday. John Mechie was roughing up TJ Watt. Like, there's been some really impressive stuff. And here's the crazy part. He can't even run the offense he wants because he's got a plan for an offensive line that he didn't expect to have. And the rushing attack's just getting going. Like, that's my other thing that I wanted to talk about was the offense is just getting started. They're eventually going to have the offensive line back that they thought they were going to have. Then they're going to be able to dive into the playbook that offensive line practiced, that offensive line has been learning and trying to execute for a couple of weeks. Like, that is a really, really fun thing to think about, is that, hey, they're just getting started on what they could potentially do on this offense because they're going to get the offensive line healthy. CJ is going to get deeper into the offense, understand more. It feels like the more input he gets, the better output he has. Like, there's a lot of excitement around this offense. Like, some of the stuff that could get cleaned up, like all of a sudden you're not kicking field goals and you're putting points on the board. Like, remember how crappy it felt when Indianapolis had 28 points at halftime? The Texans probably could have had 21, 24 points at halftime against the Steelers. They clean this little thing up. They clean that little thing up. Or those things don't happen because there's better players on the field. And you start thinking about this offense on a whole different plane, a whole different level. And as Tank Dell gets more and more involved, as John Mechie gets better and better, as these tight ends start to get used a little bit more, and as you give CJ Stroud more time to do stuff, it starts to get very exciting about where this offense can be. And they are just, it really does feel like they are just getting started on offense. Like, through 4 weeks, some bad, a lot of good. That foundation feels like it's really well built. What are you going to put on top of that foundation? Like, if the offense is a house, most of us would have settled for a little cottage. Like, get us a nice foundation, a little cottage, couple of rooms, a nice bathroom, and just a nice, cozy little cottage. If the offense was a house, that's what most of us would have settled for, because we basically watched a cardboard box act like a house for the past couple of years on offense. You know what Bobby Slowik's building? Well, he's got a giant foundation put together. And now you're starting to think, well, can I put heated floors in the giant bathroom that has a jacuzzi tub and a stand-up shower that has like 8 shower heads? Like, can I put heated floors in there? Can we do 3 walk-in closets instead of 2 walk-in closets? Like, you're starting to really think about what this offense can be as Bobby Slowik starts to mastermind this thing. And I keep going back. Here's why I'm also excited about this offense. I keep going back to the way Dalton Schultz talked about Bobby Slowik in training camp. And Schultz said, if I had Bobby Slowik as my coach when I got into the NFL, I would be deeper into offense 5 years into my NFL career than I am now. And that's always stuck with me. That's always rung in the back of my brain when I think about Bobby Slowik and I think about where this offense can go and what this offense can do. And yeah, you get to some more advanced stuff. It's a little scary, but calculus was scary in high school. But if you had a good teacher, calculus all of a sudden wasn't so scary. It's like, when did they put letters in this? You know, if you got a good teacher, it's not that scary. It's not that scary. All right, we have one comment that I wanted to get to. Would you rather get a T. Higgins from free agency or a top wide receiver from the NFL draft? I'll take the free agent. T. Higgins stinks. Like, guys, T. Higgins isn't any good. He can't get open. He gets hurt. The Bengals can't get him the ball. Like, if he was awesome, they'd get him the ball. Like, he stinks this year. Like, look, I understand because he's a name. He may become available, but I'm not in love with this T. Higgins conversation. And if guys play well, you don't need them. You don't need them. All right, let's see here. Let's fire through some of these comments. Appreciate everybody hitting in the comments section, but try to get to as many as I can. Eddie says, finally feels good to look forward to a Sunday. Hell yeah. Sunday. I always look forward to Sundays, even when the Texans stink. Football's great. It's the best 4+ months of the year. This time of year, weather's going to get better here in a few weeks. You're going to have that perfect 6 weeks where the temperature is just great, especially if you're a big fat guy like me and cold is not actually that cold. Like, you're going to have a good stretch there where everything looks really good. Football on Saturdays. I mean, college is great right now. It's so much fun to watch. And then Sundays, even when the Texans stunk, you didn't enjoy Sundays as much. Now you enjoy Sundays a lot. Now you're sitting here and you're like, damn, I got to make sure I'm sitting down at 11:55. CBS goes early to the broadcast, goes early to the team, the field like they do. I'm excited. Can't wait for that John TD silly. Yeah, Mechie, man. It's going to be fun when he scores that first one, man. It's going to be fun. Going to be a whole bunch of folks. Hitting the serpent or whatever it is, the crane kick. That's what it is. There's going to be a lot of folks hitting the crane kick that were with John Mechie when he was dealing with what he was dealing with. A lot of folks hitting that with him. Cody is the GOAT. I'm not the GOAT. I'd love to be the GOAT one day, but I'm not the GOAT. I appreciate the kind words, though, Rolo. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, D Nice. Yeah, you're right. Zach Cunningham was a nice player. I overlooked him. I overthought him. Zach Cunningham was a nice player. Oh, BCB. I know this is kind of a hot take, but does anyone miss Stingley? Shaq Griffin's been a lockdown corner. Lockdown may be stretching it a little bit, but you haven't felt the sting, pardon my pun, of Derek Stingley being down just yet. You haven't felt it hurt you just yet. Yeah, corner, stud linebacker. I don't want to get too far ahead of the conversation for the draft. That's the draft crush. Brock Bowers. That's the dude. Javier Rodriguez. Hey, Cody, how do you see John Mechie? I think the best is yet to come from him. Yeah, look, Mechie this past week. So 2 weeks ago, Jacksonville, CJ's got a little, it's a little messy. Boom, quick shot over to Mechie on the sideline. He runs through a guy for 11 yards, and you're like, okay, like Mechie was there. He was ready to make it happen. This week, he has the big catch and run over the middle where he just blows past the guy. And then CJ says he owes him one because he didn't like the throw that he made to Mechie kind of near their end zone. That's another. It's again more and more, and like he's getting back into football rhythm. He's getting back into football shape. Like there's still a lot I would think to come from John Mechie, and as he gets as they trust him more, and as he showcases more, you can put him on the field more, and you can have some success with him. I mean, him busting up Alex Highsmith on that block. And that was fun, man. That was fun. Yeah, this was from earlier when Dom was on. If Titus is at right, George Fant's the left tackle, I would think. If Titus is right, I think George Fant's the left tackle. $119 dozen 55 sweet. Nick was never going to ask for McCown as head coach. That's fiction. All the noise was leaked coming from Easterby. People thought Jack had growing power when he was actually losing it. Nick didn't want Lovey. I very much believe if Brian Flores does not sue the National Football League, Josh McCown's the head coach of the Texans. I'll leave it at that because that's an era we don't want to go back to. We don't want to go back there no more. Is Broker getting any left guard reps? Not when I see it at practice. He's the backup left guard. And I would think, hey, if Dieter's not healthy, Kendrick Green's not going to be there this week because he's hurt. Maybe Broker gets the opportunity. All right, couple more comments. But Jeffrey wants to weigh in. You want to get in on the comment section like Jeffrey? It's pinned at the top of the comment section. Get in on the video standpoint. Jeffrey, what do you got for us, man?
Well, quite a bit, but I'll try to keep it brief. I was kind of wishing that Will Anderson would have got that touchdown there at the end of the game, but
I know, right?
I feel for him on that one. It hurt a little, but hey, 30-6, I'll take it.
Yeah, it was live. It felt like the wrong call, and then they slowed it down, and we saw it. I was like, yeah, it's the right call. Damn it.
Same. I was kind of like, all right, well, maybe next time. It was just kind of giving me that J.J. Watt, and then I want to say at one point or another, Mario Williams had something similar to that back in the day, but it's been a little while. My memory kind of escapes me on that one.
Yeah. That Anderson one's tough. I would think he's going to get one. They especially with Cam Johnston. They pin somebody back deep. Next thing you know, Anderson's coming off the edge, fumble sack. He recovers it. Boom. Like if I could bet on Will Anderson scoring a touchdown this season, I would bet on it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm waiting for it. I'll patiently wait. It's kind of like going hunting. You just got to sit there in the deer blind for several hours till you finally get something. But it's well worth the wait when it happens.
Exactly. What else you got for us?
Well, as many Bama guys as we have on the team, do you think Roll Texans will ever become a saying? Or
I don't know, man. I think they. I think those Bama guys are pretty close. I know Will Anderson and John Mechie are pretty close. They hang out quite a bit. But I don't know if we'll ever get the Roll Texans. They love saying Roll Tide too much to say Roll Texans.
Yeah, I would think that, but I was like, well, maybe if we could talk to D'Amico, he's been a Texan a long time with us. It's like maybe we can push it his way. I don't think we can get CJ to say it. I mean, it's a kind of a Ohio thing for him, so it's like I get it, but I figured if the coach would get it started, it'll kind of roll with the rest of the team from there, pun intended.
Yeah, there you go. What else?
I think that's about it.
Yeah, Jeffrey, man, appreciate you jumping in.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate you watching. Good stuff from Jeffrey. Yeah, Roll Texans. I don't know, man. I don't know. Kind of divisive. You don't want these guys fighting each other. Hey, I did like, though, to see the Notre Dame guys go down to Ohio State. They got to wear the Ohio State gear. And CJ Stroud was happy to have those guys dressed up a couple weeks ago. I'm not trading any first or second round picks. You better have somebody that's a freaking monster if you're trading that. I think you were talking about T. Higgins Harris. Eddie, always hopping in here late. Just wanted to say I love your pods. Glad you took the leap to do your own thing. Just wish you were on more often. Yeah, man, I appreciate you, man. I try to put as much content as I can, and if the people want more, I'll do more. That's just the simple fact. If you guys want more, I'll do more. I really appreciate all of y'all's support. It's awesome. I'm having a blast with the YouTube channel. Houston football's doing some great stuff. I'm having a lot of fun at Houston football doing my writing. Some cool stuff planned for over there. So really appreciate everybody jumping in there. Appreciate the support. And speaking of support, if you support our great sponsors, you get helped out. Our friends at Underdog Fantasy, the best way to play fantasy. They got the weekly drafts. You can get in on the redraft for the season. The draft is my favorite part of fantasy football. So you can put together some best ball drafts. You don't have to manage these teams. Underdog starts your best team every week when you go through the draft. And then they've got the weekly, really it's daily pick'em, all the different sports. I like playing it with football. You're just going higher or lower on predicted stat totals. You put 5 of them together. Next thing you know, boom, you are 20 timesing your money in just one entry. It's just that simple. It's that simple. Each week we put together a Texans pick'em. If you want to follow along here on the channel, we haven't won yet, but we've gotten very, very close. Okay, and heck, you can even insure your entries, so even when you lose one, you still win with Underdog Fantasy. Promo code Stoots, STOOTS, when you're a first-time depositor, is going to get you that 2 times your first deposit. That gets you 2 times your deposit up to $100. So if you put in $100, you get $200 to play with. Put in 20, you'll get 40 to play with. Heck, my buddy Matt put in 10 the other day. Matt's over $100 because he's won a bunch of these pick'ems. I had another viewer reach out to me the other day and said, "Hey man, thanks for hooking me up with Underdog. He's taking home 4 digits. He was a big winner." You can win big at Underdog Fantasy. It's so much fun. It's so easy to get started. There's a link in the description down below. It should autofill the code for you. Promo code Stoots. I just did my Donald Trump there. The best Underdog Fantasy. The best fantasy. Everybody plays it. Red or blue. Maybe liberals. Maybe conservatives. Ultimately, fun. Okay? Poor Donald Trump impression. I'm not very good at that. But I can tell you that Underdog Fantasy is very good at fantasy football. Check them out. The link in the description will autofill the code. If not, it is right there on the screen for you. Appreciate you supporting Underdog Fantasy because they support the channel. Thank you, everybody, for watching this evening. Devin has a super chat. Didn't know you were on tonight. I am, Devin. I am on tonight. There is a little bell on the screen. There's a little bell that on the let me look up a profile to kind of see where it is. So I'm looking at my guy Landry's profile. You can, when you're subscribed, you can set alerts to let you know when guys are going live, when you can go live, or when new videos pop up. I try to give everybody enough heads up on social media about that. But Devin, I appreciate the super chat, man. You were very generous with the super chats. Thank you so much for those. All right, a couple more here. So Scruggs is center or Jared Patterson? Well, Jared Patterson's going to play center this week because Scruggs isn't ready. So no Juice Scruggs this week. Not just yet. But he's close. So when Scruggs gets back, what does he do? I think he probably plays left guard. And Patterson, at this point, with maybe 5 or 6 weeks into the starting center spot, and he's not playing poorly. He's not playing poorly at all. In fact, let me go look it up here because I was looking at pass rush win rate the other day. Okay, I was looking at pass rush win rate. Interior offensive line pass block win rate. Check it in, 16th overall in all of football is Jared Patterson, winning 95% of his pass block win rate matchups. 95%. Now, the run blocking's got to get a lot better. But the pass blocking's been good from Patterson. I would think he's going to stick at center. And look, great pick. Great pick if he sticks at center. It's a great job. he's a late round pick. You grabbed him as sort of an insurance policy. Well, this is why you have insurance policies, when you need them. When you need them. Oh, that TD from Will Anderson would have broke the internet. And it would have helped, my ticket for Defensive Rookie of the Year. It's weird. You spelled Kirk wrong. Professional Choker. What's up, Cody? What's up, chat? Hey, appreciate you jumping in, Mr. Cousins. I want a red zone pick 6 from Will. I mean, some of the speed that he operates with, I can see somebody throwing it sideways and Will Anderson popping in there. Let's see. Collectibles. Go Texans. I'm pumped for the next game. Yeah. Me too. 2024 Malik Neighbors, Mecca Booga, Braylon Trice, JT Tuimalau. Best guess at that one. I don't know. It's tough to say what position. What would you draft right now? I don't know what I would draft right now. I mean, Brock Bowers, but he's going to be probably a top 10 pick. You may not have a top 10 selection. So, I mean, do you take a corner? Do you take another edge guy because maybe Grenard's moving on, or you just want another one? Do you take a different style of wide receiver? I mean, you got a lot of wide receivers, so I don't know about that. You're not taking a QB. You're not taking a running back that high. You wouldn't take a linebacker that high. So, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. at Clemson, you wouldn't take a linebacker that high. So, I don't know what the position is. That's one of those, ask me in week 18, week 16, more that way. Jeffrey with a little math humor here. Y equals MX plus B and the slope is up. That's tell you what, we had to start drawing the graphs and stuff, and you had to look, awful. I avoided math class in college. I took whatever math classes I could. My final semester at Texas Tech, I was in quite literally the most beginner level of math that you could take that qualified for my degree. So it was called remedial math or something. And I was literally the only person in there that was not a freshman. And I was already over 21, and everyone in there was 17 and 18, brand new to school. It's one of their first classes. It was a Monday 8 a.m. class. And it was brutal. And I never went to that class. And my teacher saw me one day at the bar, and he's like, "You've got to come to class." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." And we had to draw stuff. I mean, I was awful at it. I avoided it like the plague. Finally, I made it out. I avoided it like the plague. Yeah, bell's on the subscribe button. Yeah, thank you. You said it better than I could say it. Jim Davies, 50 years from now, people look back, say the best regular season win in franchise history was the last game of last season against Indy. It very well could be. I mean, getting CJ Stroud's been good. Yeah, Devin says, hey, don't mess with he says cemetery, but I think he means chemistry between Stroud and Patterson. Yeah, look, if it's working, don't change it. And if Scruggs is the best, now you have a conversation at left guard because Kendrick Green's not there, and Green had been playing, well. He wasn't amazing, but he wasn't bad. Oh, look at this. D'Amico on Pardon My Take tomorrow on the Barstool fellas. I got a hunch CJ Stroud's going to pop up on some stuff here pretty soon. Got a hunch Stroud's popping up on some stuff here. I don't know what. D'Amico on Pardon My Take's kind of a unique fit. I don't know. That'll be interesting. We got the Titans and Colts. Colts, better team and better quarterback. Richardson and Minshew's better than Tannehill and the other guys. Levis stinks. I wonder if guys like Grenard and Nico Collins are in-season extension candidates. If you get them on the right deal, you feel like they're going to keep getting better. I wonder if they're in-season extension candidates. Yeah, traditional nose tackle from the draft. Yeah. Malik Collins is here for the next couple of years, but Rankins is a one-year guy. I would think he probably moves on. I think this will stop. I think you start winning at home, you start putting, and that's the Steelers. That's a whole different level of opposing fan. You start looking at, like, there should be some New Orleans fans here, but not as many as the Steelers. The Bucs will not be here in force. The Cardinals, the Jaguars, the Broncos, the Browns, the Titans, like, they will not be here in force. So it should be a big-time home field advantage going forward. I think Jeremy wanted mayonnaise, boy. Yeah, my old colleague at 97.5, Jeremy Brandon, was a Big Will Levis guy. He also said draft night could be the worst night in franchise history. People don't forget, Jeremy. He won't see this. He doesn't watch the channel. Oh, Jeffrey says, hey, playoffs, guys, get new contracts in season. I'm not opposed to having the conversation with them. I'm not opposed to having the conversation with anybody on this team if they're having success. Like if it's a successful squad, I'm happy to have the conversation with anybody on what exactly they want to do from a next couple of years standpoint. So, if Schultz comes along and you want to extend Dalton Schultz, or let's go pull up here. Let's go pull up everybody who's done at the end of the year. You got money. If you believe in guys and you can get, the big thing is you would hope that an extension is saving you a couple of bucks. You'd hope that an extension saving you a couple of bucks. So, okay, Sheldon Rankins, I probably would not pay him. I'd look to get a defensive tackle a different way. Dalton Schultz, if he picks it up, plays better, have the conversation. Jerry Hughes, I'd go year to year with Jerry Hughes. Look, Steven Nelson's probably the best in-season extension candidate. If he's playing his ass off like this, keep him around. Him and Derek Stingley for the next couple of years, keep him around. Kaimi's a free agent at the end of the year. I mean, there's some kicker issues around the league. So you want to extend Kaimi, but like, I'll put Steven Nelson at the top. I'll go Nelson at the top. Nico, just go ahead and get him set up. And again, Nelson, you're probably paying a premium right now because he's playing his best football, but extensions should be successful for both sides. Like, you should feel like you're getting a good deal, but you should also feel like the player is getting taken care of. Like, not what I did to people in Madden back in franchise mode when I used to play, Not that. Daniil Hunter and Christian Wilkins in free agency. Well, I'll tell you what, Christian Wilkins hits free agency. Yeesh, it's going to be expensive. Very expensive. He's good. What's your best case scenario for the rest of the season? My unrealistic dreams are a win the AFC South and Browns implode and never win another game. If the Browns fall apart, man, it's close. Okay? It's close to the Browns falling apart. Deshaun Watson was cleared by the doctors in Cleveland last week, and he opted to not play. So it's close to falling apart. I would need to see Nico have 2 years of success first. Look, if you want to have Nico Collins play 2 years, play this year and next year, and then extend him, be my guest. Be my guest. I'm just thinking if you can get a deal done, because if a guy like Nico Collins hits free agency after 2 successful seasons, that's expensive, especially if you're bidding against him. Then, of course, the franchise tag and this and that. You also have to start thinking about, this is not the craziest thing in the world. Start thinking about down the road, what does CJ Stroud's contract look like? That's going to be a big one. It's going to be an expensive one. So, yeah, Brown's not going anywhere. That offense keeps falling apart, though. I mean, they can't win if they can't score. Let's take a look at Cleveland's schedule. Let's take a look at the Browns' schedule. All right, so the Browns are on bye this week, so Deshaun gets a week to get healthy. Okay. Oh, gosh. San Francisco in Cleveland. Loss. At Indy, they can beat the Colts. At Seattle, they can beat them. Versus Arizona, they can beat them. At Baltimore is going to be tough. At LA later in the year after Cooper Kupp's got some things going, that's going to be tough for them. They don't have the most difficult schedule in the world. So they'd have to really fall apart for that draft pick to get real better or to get a lot better. Right now, in case anybody's wondering, right now, the Houston Texans would send the 13th pick to Arizona and would get the 15th pick from Cleveland. That's right now. Okay. All right. Chew to bust down, as well as Dakota. They're asking for the prime times. Okay. Can the Texans get prime time? Okay. This is actually going to be something I'm writing for Houston football, but we'll go through a little quick and dirty here and just see if we can figure it out. So looking at the Texans schedule, the Texans have to continue to be good, obviously, and then you have to have a good dancing partner. Okay? You got to have a good dancing partner. So week 9, if the Buccaneers are still good and the Texans are good, hey, how about surprisingly good teams? Let's see if we can find them in the conversation. Your week 9 game against Tampa is a CBS game. Fox has the big game that afternoon, so you're not beating out Cowboys and Philadelphia. You're not beating out Buffalo, Cincinnati. And did the Monday Night Football flex start? Did they start the Monday Night Football flex? Am I crazy? Let's see. Weeks 12 through 17. Okay, so you can't flex Monday Night Football. You can't flex that game to Monday Night Football. Okay? All right. So you got to find a good dancing partner. All right, week 12 against the Jaguars. That's something Dakota said earlier. Let's go to week 12. Let's see if you can get in the conversation here. All right, it's a CBS game. The CBS game that afternoon, Buffalo, Philadelphia. Can't beat that. Baltimore, the Chargers in the evening. Can't beat that. Monday Night Football. How about a little AFC South fun on Monday Night Football? The Monday Night Football game in week 12. Okay, we just looked at the scheduling rules. Monday Night Football, week 12, is Chicago and Minnesota. I'm looking at the noon games. There's not a better noon game than maybe good Jacksonville versus Houston. Chicago, Minnesota, get them out of Monday Night Football, put the Texans and the Jags on Monday Night Football. Boom. Week 12, Monday Night Football. I don't brag about how many times I watch the game. That's not me, Landry Locker. That's not me. By the way, if you don't follow Landry here on YouTube, he's the number one source. I'm probably number 2. Tough to beat number 1. Not a competition. We're boys. Pop on his channel from time to time. He pops here. Follow Landry. He does a fantastic job here on YouTube breaking down the Texans. Even if he lies on me. Like I don't watch the game 7 times, okay? And I'm not going to tell you how many times I do watch the game because nobody cares. Because nobody cares. Did he text me? Does he want to jump in here? I'm going to text him. Devin's got a super chat. Honestly, if we play up to this standard, we're getting the guys back. I don't see a scenario we can't go 13-4. Best case 10-7. Hey, I mean, dream no little dreams. 13's a little much. 10, crazy still, but probably not. But 9 wins you the division. 9 wins you the division. So, get to 9. I think really get to 3. And then when you're done with 3, get to 4. All right, we're gonna send the invite to the Lock Dog here. I guess he wants it on Twitter. How hard is it? Why do they make it so hard to send a dang DM on Twitter these days? How am I supposed to slide into all these DMs if it's so hard to send a DM? And we'll get Landry in here in a minute. Hey, how about that? How about Jim taking a inventory of the franchise scores? How about that? All right. Joining the stream, he is the number one source for Houston Texans daily digital content on YouTube. He's also one of my best friends in the entire world. He is Landry Locker. What's up, Lock Dog?
What up, man? How you living?
I'm living large and in charge.
Large and in charge, man. It's good vibes around here. So I've got the house to myself. Wifey's out of town, so I'm staying up late doing things.
Nice.
Just chilling. Just went to the movies,
Oh, what'd you see?
Dumb Money.
Is that about the GameStop people?
Hell yeah. It's good.
Was it good?
Pretty funny, yeah. Pretty crazy.
You're a tough movie grader, so if you say it's good, it's usually a pretty good one.
I don't know. I think I just hate a lot of stuff that people like, and then I like dumb stuff. So yeah,
What you do this? You're on YouTube. You talk with the people. You got the radio show on Sports Radio 610. When was the last time you can remember the good vibes being to the level that they are right now?
Probably Tennessee, 2017. I would say, like, if we're looking for like an ideal similarity, I would say Tennessee in 2017. Obviously you felt like you had kind of a puncher's chance with Deshaun, but you never really felt like your team was going to overachieve with Deshaun because the coaching staff, the limitations there, but like probably 2017, I would say. And at that point they were kind of just, I feel like that was the best that the Deshaun offense actually looked. So it was kind of he hadn't really been like neutered yet.
Yeah.
So that was probably it. Probably 2017, I would say.
Yeah, I mean those games felt like he had no chance to stop anybody. Like, I mean, Deshaun was scoring touchdown after touchdown, and the other team was just cutting right through the Texans defense at the time. And I mean, I could think about it was Russ scored late after it looked like Deshaun had finished the Legion of Boom. Russ scored late. I mean, he threw 4 or 5 touchdowns against Kansas City. and that was kind of like, a little back
That was
and
a
forth
depressing
affair.
game. That was where Merciless and Watt went down.
Yeah. So it's like
they followed JJ to the hospital like it was like a freaking OJ
like his Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
He's been taken to a local medical facility.
That was, but the Seattle game and then the Patriot game and that one, you felt pretty good. The thing about CJ is I don't feel like he has to do it all himself. Like it is as good as he's been, and it's like a historic start. Like I think the difference between peak Deshaun and CJ obviously hasn't reached his peak is you don't feel like he has to do it himself. And that's a good feeling, because sometimes you try to like argue and have absolutes and it's like, well, it's all CJ or it's the coach and all that. But I mean, in a perfect world, you don't want him to have to do it himself. And that just doesn't feel like he's having to.
We were talking about this on the stream earlier. Does it feel like this offense is just getting started?
Yeah, because there's no and I was talking about this today. It's like you wanna sit there and try to like tame your expectations. It's not necessarily trying to find some reason to like pull it down, but you wanna tame your expectations. But the reality is that the situation hasn't been ideal for CJ Stroud. I mean, it's early in his career. He hasn't had his tackles. He's really has had little time to develop time with his chemistry. The weapon that maybe you were the most excited about hasn't really done as much as you'd hoped in Dalton Schultz, although he's coming off making a couple of big plays against Pittsburgh. So you naturally think they're going to be able to run the ball better. It's going to be a little bit easier to open those things up. So it's hard to kind of, and you're playing the NFC South. So at the very least, you would hope that you can go 2-2 in the next 4 weeks and you can stay on that 500, each quarter type of thing. So yeah, it's kind of hard to just look at it and say, okay, this is going to go down because of this, because he hasn't been doing it at full strength.
I also think too, Slowik feels like the type of guy that's not going to get too excited about having new stuff and having stuff at his disposal. Like, it's not like all of a sudden they're just going to start these like giant 7-step drops when Tunsil and Titus Howard are back. Like, he's not going to stop doing stuff that works. He's going to slowly integrate things that he can't do right now for whatever reason, because this guy or that guy. And then if the rushing attack is consistent, I mean, my goodness, they can beat some people up with this rushing attack.
Yeah, and I think that there were a couple of plays, because I just did the highlight reaction on my channel. Not a film study, just kind of highlight reaction. But I think there were a couple of plays where you were like, man, Bobby Slowik really knew what was coming here. And the one that was the most impressive was where you had Tank on the right side and the DB was like 12 yards downfield. The closest guy to him was TJ Watt in his 3-point stance. And you just see CJ go back, take 2 steps, wait for TJ to kind of move. And then it's just literally just like a little 7 or 8 yard toss for 16 to midfield. They ended up punting on the drive, but that was just real good recognition. And then he kind of played some chess. You could tell like he was setting up Singletary to throw the rock at the end of the game. And he's also a greedy SOB. Like I guess it's aggressive, but it's kind of like conservatively aggressive, the way that he's attacked, like at the end of the first halves, the last 2 weeks, and then the way that he attacked at the end and just went for the kill shot with Nico. He's just kind of got a nice balance. And the other thing that was real encouraging was if you look at those 2 plays that they had where they didn't have any timeouts at the end of the first half, like, so they make the play and then they're spiking the ball like 7 seconds later after Nico runs 30 yards downfield. And then on the next play, not only are they spiking the ball, CJ Stroud's looking up at the clock and he's basically thinking, okay, we don't want to even have to kick off after the field goal. So by the time he spikes it, I think 4 seconds left. So he's under center and he's not even panicking. CJ Stroud's like so in control that he's like looking up at the clock and then he gets it. Spikes it with 4 to where, you can say, well, it's just a kickoff. But I mean, when you're thinking that much ahead and you're that much in control and, oh, by the way, you're 13 points up. I mean, it's a very well-organized offense that seems to know what the hell the other team is going to do and what they should do in certain situations. It's just not something that we've been used to.
I mean, Mike Tomlin's no slouch when it comes to what the resume is, and that was supposed to be a really good Pittsburgh Steelers defense.
What was he, 4-24 against rookie quarterbacks?
Yeah,
Something
and then you know what? I'd love to know what his record is against first-time play callers, because I bet you it's probably pretty good too. And then Bobby Slowik comes in there, and you got Pittsburgh people tweeting, "Well, the game's passed Mike Tomlin by," and you're like, "Well, damn, good job, Bobby Slowik."
Yeah, I do wonder. Like, I do think there's a possibility that Pittsburgh just flat out sucks. Like,
Yep.
I don't, and I mean, look, I don't give a damn. Like, the fact that you even can say that you think a team flat out sucks at this point in Houston that's not a slight. Like, I just think they're whatever. They're going to be a 7-win team. I think that's where they're at. 7, 8. If they win 9, then I think Mike Tomlin has done it again. But yeah, I think there's a chance they're not a very good team at all.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too. Is like there've been different portions of the schedule and look, it's through 4 weeks, so 5 more weeks from now, some of these teams will look vastly different. Like maybe this team's a little bit better, maybe this team's a little bit worse. But from just like hey, let's dream a little bit, let's look at this schedule. Atlanta doesn't look as daunting as maybe you thought they could be with some of those offensive weapons. New Orleans has a hurt quarterback, or it's Jameis Winston. Then you've got the bye week if you're the Texans. And then coming out of that, you got Carolina. Are they even going to have a win by then? Like is Carolina winning in either of the next few games? So it's like
Greg's calling plays for guys who aren't on the field.
Well, how about that the other day?
Their guards allowing like pressure like 50% of the time.
Oh,
They're
my
talking
God.
about they might trade for a receiver. Like it's
listen to who Carolina has for the next 2.
They got I've already
Lions and Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be a tough one for them. And I mean the Bears are sitting there to where it's like they're looking at the number 1 and number 2 pick at this point. I mean the Bears might fire their coach Thursday. I mean there's talk that
Eberflus is going to get the boot.
I mean there's talk. I mean look, it's not just a matter of patience. It's a matter of everything is hitting the fan right now. There, like you got the quarterback calling out the coaching staff. You got the receiver calling out the coaching staff. Like you're not even allowing guys to come through there. You've lost this many games. I mean, I like Eberflus fine, but I mean, some guys just might not be equipped to be head coaches. So
that's kind of what it feels like with his start to his career.
So maybe they say goodbye. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Man, that is. I wonder who the first coach fired is. I mean, Eberflus got to be.
Well, I mean, who's even in the conversation? It would have to be Eberflus. I don't know who else would even be in the conversation. I mean, I think some people were trying to leave Todd Bowles for dead, but that's son of a gun can coach his ass off. He doesn't get enough credit for how hard his teams fight. Like I'm a big Todd Bowles fan. That's a scrappy squad too. I mean, that's a scrappy.
That's going to be a fun game because there's still a lot of playmakers on that defense and
offense.
And then, if they're healthy on offense, like, okay, I mean, Mike Evans, 45 minutes from Galveston, you don't think there's going to be a bunch of Mike Evans jerseys in the stands showing out for the family,
Well, and I mean, I think the Texans have kind of, and this isn't necessarily the case with Jacksonville because I think they got a good receiving core, but I mean, they really haven't faced too many teams that have like multiple receivers. I mean, I don't think OBJ is OBJ.
No.
Zay Flowers is good. Colts might have one of the worst receiving cores in the NFL.
Like
Jacksonville is a good one, and then
like Kirk and Ridley are nice. They're not amazing, but they're not Evans and Godwin.
Well, Ridley was drunk the first half. I don't know what the hell was wrong with him. He might have had the Texans first half or something like that with the way that he was playing in the first half of that game. He had 2 false starts at wide receiver. He might have gotten smart and used his friend's account or something like that. He was point shaving.
He had a sign up bonus he had to get to.
What he was doing. Man was out there looking crazy.
How much have you looked at Atlanta? What do you think about Atlanta? What's your early read on them?
I think it's weird because I think that Steven Nelson can lock up Drake London, but I don't follow them closely enough to understand why Kyle Pitts isn't more of a thing. I'm actually rather confused by that because it seems like he would be someone that would be able to perhaps, and I know Toto is coming off a good game and all that, but a guy like Kyle Pitts seems like a guy that could perhaps get the most out of the Texans linebackers and their possible shortcomings when it comes to coverage. I know Cashman's a pretty good cover guy, but does Pitts become a thing this week? Like, is he something to look at? And also the run defense is still something that needs to be questioned. And they have not, I know Bijan's going to get a lot of love, but they got multiple guys in multiple ways in which they can run the ball. And I think Arthur Smith is actually an underrated offensive mind. They just don't have the quarterback.
They run that Algier guy a ton, and he was a 1,000-yard rusher last year. He's a
good player. I mean, I think he had a few touchdowns in week 1.
He's a tough cat. Their defense is interesting, but not like that. Like, I'm super worried about them. Like, they got a guy that can make a play here or there. So I am intrigued to see, Slowik versus their defense. And then it feels like Arthur Smith, I mean, he's got to be thinking back to the times when he was calling plays for Derrick Henry, and he's like, it's still the Houston Texans. I'll just run the rock down their throat.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think that's a bad strategy. I really don't. I do think that, though, and if you go back to that Pittsburgh, there were a couple plays in the second half where Nico kind of dialed up a run blitz like perfectly. I think one time was with Petrie, and I think that when the moment that we all talk about where they didn't run the ball on 4th and 1, I think that the play on first down where I think they lost 8 on a Petrie run blitz, I think that kind of might have been in the back of their mind. So I do think D'Amico's pretty good at dialing up run blitzes in like situational times, but I think there will be times with the Texans, and I think we saw it with the Steelers where it might have to turn into kind of a bend don't break college-ish type of defense, although it's kind of an NFL thing where you're just trying to hold them to 3 instead of 7, because I do think there are some like kind of a little bit of limitations when it comes to stopping the run.
Yeah, man, it's like there's stuff to like about what the Falcons can do on the ground, and like you don't want to be consumed by recency bias, but like a couple weeks ago, Detroit doesn't have an amazing defensive line and linebacking group. Like, they've got, obviously, Aiden Hutchinson's really good, and they've got some other nice players on the defensive line, but Atlanta just could not run the ball against Detroit. And then they went up against Jacksonville, and Bijan's over here ripping off 7 yards a touch. And it's like, okay, well, like there's clearly something that they can do on the ground. It just maybe is not as consistent. But you never want to be the team that they all of a sudden are consistent against. That was my fear for Pittsburgh. It's like they'd kind of been up and down, stop and start on the rushing attack, and the next thing you know, like they're getting the 8-yard losses, the big tackle. They had 4 tackles for a loss in the first half when they hadn't had more than 1 over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, the other thing I wonder, and I don't know, this is just kind of I wonder if Atlanta liked CJ, because I think there's probably a lot of teams that like CJ had he fallen to 3. And I do wonder, like, if Atlanta was one of those teams that maybe liked CJ. We heard it was the Titans and stuff. So I don't know. I don't know what their plan is at quarterback. I know they were willing to trade for Deshaun Watson when he got traded, but I think Arthur Smith will be able to survive. If they don't make the playoffs this year or anything, but
that's one of those where, like, Arthur Smith and the GM got there at the exact same time. I think it's like who's going to stab who in the back to keep their job.
Yeah, and I like Arthur. I actually think he coaches better than his record. I just don't. I like when you're in that quarterback situation and we lived it last year where you're more so trying to convince yourself, well, this guy, like if everything's perfect and you give him this and this and this, and you did like it's a tough spot to be in. It's a really tough spot to be in with where Atlanta's at. And that I think they're there. New Orleans is kind of the stopgap, which we saw. So kind of like if you're like trying to make the NFC North into the AFC South, or NFC South into the AFC South, I think that the Falcons are where the Texans were last year. The Saints are basically the Colts because they're just going like stopgap after stopgap. So Derek Carr is basically like the Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan type of thing. And they got a pretty good defense. And then the Buccaneers are just kind of, I mean, I guess you could say they're like a better version of that. Yeah, they're kind of a better version of that. And then Carolina is just I guess that maybe they're the Jags with Urban Meyer. Like, is that the Urban Meyer Jags? I don't want to insult Frank Reich or anything, but that kind of seems like they're either the Panthers right now are either Urban Meyer Jags or the Tua's rookie year Dolphins without a good defense.
I wonder if things get real bad in Carolina, if they move off a couple of those players just to sort of start the rebuild.
Well, I mean, they've already given up all their draft equity, so it's gonna be kind of a hard rebuild if you can't figure it out.
Yeah, the rumor from last year that the Rams offered them 2 firsts for that Brian Burns cat. Like,
oh well,
yeah, maybe should have taken that. Maybe shouldn't have traded DJ Moore.
Lord, Rams, y'all are back to that F them picks thing again. Is that what we're doing?
I
made that up.
If I was an enterprising team that needed a wide receiver, I'd call Chicago, see if they'd send me DJ Moore.
Yeah. I mean, God, they just traded for him. Doesn't seem to be working out for him. So, and he was mic'd up saying that he wasn't being used right as well. So
you know where that audio came out?
Where?
Came out on the Buccaneers YouTube page because they had their guy mic'd up talking to DJ Moore, and then they published the video. I gotta imagine they had a couple of phone calls like, what do you guys say? Hey, help us out here, guys. What are you doing?
Man, that's messed up.
Yeah, that audio showed up because the Buccaneers published it. It's like, you gotta protect your fellow NFL team at that point, even if it is good content.
Yeah, it's pretty classless, man.
It's a bad job by the Buccaneers in-house media staff.
It's pretty damn classless, I will say.
Somebody asked me this question the other day, and I had a hard time figuring out exactly what my answer is. Who's surprising in the NFL in a good way right now? I guess maybe Tampa's probably the answer to that. But like, who's good surprising? There's plenty of bad surprising, but who's good surprising right now in the NFL?
I would say Tampa.
Yeah.
I would say the Texans. I would say Washington to a certain point. They've been pretty competitive. Although Ron Rivera apparently doesn't like to gamble anymore.
Yeah.
I would say
are the Rams in that conversation?
I mean, I didn't expect them to suck. I mean, they still have a good quarterback. I know he's like basically hanging by a thread right now because he's so tough, but maybe the Cardinals. I mean, they're better than we thought they would be. They did beat the Cowboys. I mean, I guess you could Indianapolis. I mean, Indianapolis is
they won 2 games with Minshew primarily being the QB.
Yeah, so Indy maybe. By the way, the Indy thing is just hilarious because I don't know how sustainable what they got going is. Like, the dude's limping off the field after every game. He's making like spectacular plays, and you have people just still putting out these highlights, and it's like, dude, you've always been able to go and pick highlights of Anthony Richardson. That's never been questioned. Like, nobody's ever questioned like that he can do things elite like over the course of a game. But what was he like 11 for 25 the other day? Got hit again.
Mm-hmm.
Tough.
He is not taking care of himself at the NFL level.
Well, he didn't do it in college. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know why that didn't get talked about a little bit. But, yeah. So, right now, what are they? They're like 0-2 when he plays the majority of the snaps and 2-0 when he doesn't. So,
and I mean, Indy can't trade Minshew because they're trying to compete. They're trying to be. I mean, they're in the thick of things in a division that might be wide open. So,
well, if they get Taylor back, it might get interesting. I just don't know if he's going to be.
You think he's actually showing up tomorrow? I have a conspiracy theory about this.
Okay.
So Steichen said Monday he's going to practice Wednesday. Okay. I believe they said that so that if he no-shows, they can go after his money and they can fine him.
I mean, I don't think it's going to go smooth, but I mean, if he plays, that'll be interesting.
Also, if he practices at some point, he's got to talk. You think he's gonna play nice when the microphone's in his face?
Jerk, though. I mean, he's kind of a quiet dude, isn't he?
I mean, I just wonder if, I mean, is he gonna basically just say, I'm a mercenary, I'm here for my money? And, I also think there's a small chance they Dwayne Brown him, where they play him a week and then trade him. They just prove to everybody he's healthy. Hey, look at Jonathan Taylor. Look how good he is. And then somebody calls. I don't know who
they lower the asking price.
I don't. Yeah, I think that they were. I think you get to the like, hey, this guy's not gonna. He don't want to be here. We don't want to pay him. Somebody gives us enough. Boom. I mean, how silly would Miami feel?
They don't need to trade for him now. I mean, they're getting. I think they're getting Wilson back. They got
Achan
doing his thing.
Which, by the way, you can't change your name after a game like that.
Apparently, he didn't. Apparently, they just always said it wrong.
I know.
There's a video of him pronouncing it that way.
What about Baltimore for Jonathan Taylor?
And they just lost Dobbins. I mean, Baltimore's nice, man. Lamar's playing some ball. They're starting to figure it out. Texans got him kind of at the right time, even though it didn't go well. But yeah, I mean, Baltimore would be nice for him. I don't know.
The Rams were rumored to like him, but now they got the Kyron Williams kid.
Okay. They never care.
Guess you could pretty easily move on from him.
They never care.
I mean, Tampa stays good. Why not Tampa? Make life easy for Bake.
It's already pretty good.
Just get Jonathan Taylor out of the damn division. Get him out of here.
He will be soon.
Get him out. All right, last thing. They are months away before we even see them. What's your early read on the Titans?
They're just the typical Titans team where they're going to fight no matter what. You can't really count them out because they got the scrappy Mike Vrabel situation, and then, I mean, I think they're basically what they were last year. They're like could go on a 2-game losing streak, and then they're going to go on a 3-game winning streak, and they're going to have less than 100 yards of offense, and then Derrick Henry's going to go in his bag. Like they're a team with a high floor and a
really low
ceiling. Like they're not a threat. There's no upside to it. It's pretty cut and dry. What their wins are going to look like. Their losses can come in many different ways. Like they're just, I don't want to say it's like a mediocre treadmill because some people might take that I don't think mediocrity is, having a chance to win the division late, but they're boring as hell to me. Like they're the most boring team because I just don't think even when they were at their best, there's no real potential. There's no future. You're basically just postponing the inevitable where you're going to have to go back to square one and find a quarterback. It's a weird place to be in for them. Like it would almost be like better for them this year if they would have just bottomed out and, won 3 games or something like that, and just had like an array of bad luck and ended up with one of the quarterbacks not named Caleb Williams, like whether it's Drake May or something like that. They're just kind of blah.
Man, they still might end up being bad enough to take another QB, and then they'd have a 3rd round QB, a 2nd round QB, and a 1st round QB.
Well, they should. I mean, they didn't want to take Will Levis. If they liked Will Levis, they would have taken him at 12. Like, if they thought he was a franchise quarterback, it was almost at that point, well, okay, I might as well effing take it. Like, they didn't want that. That was in the clearance line.
Yeah, man. It's you don't show up to the start of a Titans game. Next thing you know, they're going to punch you in your mouth. You're down like 10, 13, nothing. But yeah, they're not. I don't believe by the time the Texans play them, Tannehill's going to be playing, and that offense is going to be worth a crap. I think
they're going to roll with Tannehill till the end.
Yeah, well, we know how that works. A couple weeks from now, he'll be on the injured list.
Yeah, he's been known to do that. That has been one of his MOs. But yeah, they're a scrappy squad, man. I mean, you gotta like hope you can split with them, or I mean that's at the very least you gotta at least split with them, because it's a fight, man. And I know that the Bengals aren't the Bengals, but I mean they beat the crap out of the Bengals and they beat the Chargers, so figure that one out for me.
That's the NFL. We're done with mini season number 1, which is the first 4 weeks, and now mini season 2 is here. So,
yepers.
Landry, tell the people where they can find you.
Sports Radio 610, 10 to 2 Central. Going to have another special guest Thursday. We had Bobby Slowik last week. Week before we had Robert Woods. We have them every week. And Locker Room on YouTube. Please subscribe. Right along there. Just put up the highlight reaction. Tomorrow, got to get into something that happened in the Steelers game that kind of makes me, it'll give you the feels about the Texans. It'll make you kind of think. And there's a question to something that a lot of people ask about football teams that the answer is no with the Texans, and that might not necessarily be a bad thing. So I'll get into that on the channel tomorrow.
There you go. There's the tease. I got to ask, Thursday's assistant coach day, is the special guest offensive line coach Chris Strasser?
And they might do that to me. I might be back in the offensive line coach business if he's doing it like this. Goodness,
yeah,
gracious.
right. I mean, of the assistant coaches who've done a great job, he might be up there.
Yeah, he's doing his damn thing, man.
He might be up there.
Big
All right,
time.
Landry, appreciate it. You guys follow Landry here on YouTube. Catch him on Sports Radio 610. Follow him on Twitter. Appreciate you, dog. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
He's out of there. I didn't even have to remove him. There you go. Appreciate everybody jumping in the comment section. Oh, we got the folks here. Let's do a little housekeeping here. What do you guys want for the next raffle? Okay. The book raffle's closed. We sent I'm sending the books out, the autographed John Harris books. What do you guys want for the next raffle item? If you wait long enough, we might have a hat. Might have a hat for raffle. Okay. I know you guys have mentioned gift cards before. Some gift cards, stuff like that. Just be thinking. Leave it in the comment section. Gift cards are good because I can send it to you digitally. And then you can get whatever you want. You can get a hat, you can get a shirt, you can get a koozie, you can get a tumbler to drink your booze out of, so Fanatics gift cards or NFL Shop gift cards or, Texans gift cards or, gift cards are easy. That's an easy one. We did the John Harris books. We did the draft hats back in the day. CJ Stroud jersey. I ain't got it like that, but if I come into possession of a CJ Stroud jersey, I'll see what I can do. I ain't got it like that right now. Yeah, Fanatics gift cards, you guys, get a chance to get some new gear, whatever you want, All right, so working on a hat. Work, hey, Schurzy. Yeah, a little Schurzy action ain't bad. Schurzy action ain't bad. Astros playoff tickets. Ain't got it like that either. If I came into possession of some Astros playoff tickets, those probably get used. Just be thinking about raffle items. Gift card maybe probably the next one. Do that here in the middle of October. And then I'm hoping to have hats down the road. And some other gear, some other logo stuff. So we'll have some new stickers here in the next coming weeks. So, so be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for that. Houston football. Tons of fun stuff going on there. If you're not a subscriber, you can get in for just $7 a month. If you subscribe for the whole year, you get 2 months free. Appreciate all the help there. That's where I do all my writing on the Houston Texans. Got some fun stuff there. Got some video components popping up there in the near future. Got some audio components popping up there in the near future. So encourage you to check that out. That's in the description down below. What's the hat logo going to look like? Will it be embroidered? The hat logo is going to be the Houston football logo. So you see it up here with the Houston football logo up in the corner. That's what the hat's going to be. It's what one of the hats is going to look like. We're going to do I'm hopefully going to do another hat. Hopefully going to do another hat. Oh, mini helmets? Okay, all right. Mini helmets. If I come in possession of one of those mini helmets, maybe raffle that off. Okay. Got some cool gift cards. Might be popping up here pretty soon. Some local gift cards, maybe as a raffle for more people who can use the gift card locally. Obviously, the team store, Fanatics, I can send that to just about anybody. So that's a good one. It's a good idea. Like that idea. Okay, working on the hats, Houston football. Check out our friends at Underdog Fantasy. Cool. All right. There's the housekeeping. All right. Appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Man, we went for almost 2 hours. Landry popping in is a nice surprise. He's in here talking mess in the comments. Then we get to pop him, get him popped in. Check out his channel. He does a great job. We push each other and do a real good job there. Bootleg JJ Watt Ring of Honor check. I say we push each other. Landry pushes me. I don't know if I ever push him. Probably not. But it's fun, man. It's fun seeing his success. He's a huge help for doing what I do. So check him out. Watch his content. We talk about the same team, but we do it in drastically different ways. You get a totally different look, a totally different style from us, and it's a lot of fun when we link up and put some stuff together. Landry and I got an out there plan that we want to execute one day on YouTube. So just be looking for that down the road. So check out his stuff. Thank you everybody for interacting today. The comments, the super chats, the likes, the subscriptions to the channel. It's all awesome. Thank you so much. You make this so much fun. And I really enjoy all the kind words. I wish I could respond to every single one of you. I try to as best I can. You guys make this fun. The Texans are in a fun spot. It is a fun time of year with a fun team that is headed towards some very interesting football in the coming weeks and coming months. And I can't wait to talk about all of it with you right here on this YouTube channel. And everybody knows how we finish this sucker. It's my charge to you, as Jeffrey said here. It's my charge to you. It's my hope for you as well. I want you to eat good, sleep good, be good. And we'll talk Texans again soon. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night, a great Wednesday. Practice updates coming your way, 11 Central. Houston football in the afternoon. D'Amico Ryans at the podium tomorrow. CJ Stroud at the podium tomorrow. Locker room, all that great stuff. Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thank you, everybody.